Greetings, adventure. Welcome to the D20 Academy podcast. I'm Shiloh.
And I'm Gabriel, and this week is episode 58, our rant on 5th edition. Alright, so this week we're going to be going over all the things that we don't like, the things that irritate us, and things we wish 5th edition had changed or done differently. This is just going to be a mostly unstructured rant about those things, so sit down, grab a drink, and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, it's gonna be chaotic and amazing. So much fun. Hey guys, if you want to keep up with what we're doing here at D20 Academy, a ton of cool stuff really that we're starting to do, and I'm finding other cool things. Anyway, you're gonna find out all about it on our Instagram at D20_Academy. You can follow us there. And mostly though, you should join our Discord. You can join our Discord from messaging us on Instagram or whatever. In there we do like homebrew spotlights. We just talk about things. We go over our previous episodes. Like last week we did a class rebuild on the Barbarian. That's so cool. How fun is that? And then also we have a YouTube channel if you want to listen to the episodes there. And maybe someday I'll also put other kind of content up there. We're doing a lot of stuff here though, so I'm kind of busy. But also that stuff is really cool. Hey, let's get into the episode.
All right.
Hey, Gabe, how's it going?
Hey. It's all right.
You know, I have I just realized something. So, you know, for my audio to be as beautiful and clear and crisp as it is, I use, I use that recording device. But I usually have to, it picks up a lot of stuff. So I have to close my windows and turn off my fan and stuff. So it usually gets very hot in my room while I'm recording, because that's like the only way I can soundproof. I live in a house with many, many children, so there's lots of noises. But
It's an orphanage.
Plot twist. I got a coffee because I need some caffeine right now, and it's not a nice coffee. It's a hot coffee, and so I'm going to sweat so much. You're welcome. You needed to know that. Hey.
I was wondering if I was leading anywhere.
No, nope. Just, I'm gonna suffer.
Man, it's making me so hot. I might even gain a level of exhaustion from this.
Are we gonna talk about that today? No. Hey, we talked about Discord in our intro that you just heard, and we actually we came up with the idea for this episode from our Discord. Ain't that right, Gabe?
Yes, that is true. So, we want to give a thanks to @TopazHerald. That's how you say it, right? I think so,
Herald, yeah.
For inspiring this week's episode. And for Dwarfish, also another person on our Discord, for suggesting last week's episode topic on dungeons.
No, sorry, that was not last week. 2 weeks ago. Sorry, I typo.
2 weeks? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so...
Oh my goodness.
We have a whole channel for suggestions. If you want to just suggest something that you're struggling with, or that you want some more information on, or you want our opinion on, if you join our Discord, you can put it into the hashtag suggestions channel. We're looking at it. We're gonna look at it. We're gonna discuss it, see what we can do. Dwarfish was like, hey, if you guys could do an episode on like how to build dungeons, I kind of want some help there. So then we did the 5-room dungeon episode. Topaz Herald was like, this is super minor, but like looting and treasure rules is weird and hard in 5th edition, and me and Gabe were like, hey, we can't help you with that, but what we can do is join in your suffering and complain about it, and thus 5th edition Rant was born. Maybe if this episode is successful, we can start a series where like every few months we rant about something. Maybe 5th edition, maybe a different system or whatever it is, maybe the Avatar: The Last Airbender furry community, we can do a whole episode on that or something.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
I don't know what that
So for this
was.
episode, we have just like a bunch of subtopics that we're going to be going through and ranting about in no particular order. So let's get into it.
Yep.
All right. Start us off. Why do you hate the DMG so much?
I don't... Okay. Do I hate the DMG? That's a good question. The answer is
It certainly
yes.
seems like it.
Yes and no, but mostly yes. I don't hate it. I just think it's a waste of paper and space and okay. The DMG, the Dungeon Master's Guide, is one of the third supposedly core books of 5th edition. There's Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and DMG. I started playing, I only had the Player's Handbook. After playing for a couple months, I got the Monster Manual. And after playing for about 1.5 years, I finally got the DMG. That should tell you how useful it is. I didn't need it for 1.5 years of GMing or DMing. It does not have a lot of useful information. Or, that's not true. It's very niche information, I'll say. And I don't like the way it's ordered.
Okay, sorry. I'm not interrupting.
No, go ahead.
Like, yeah, a lot of it's very niche. It starts off on the wrong foot, telling you about things that you really don't care about like the outer planes and such. That's not what you want from Dungeon Master's Guide. You want to know how to play the game better.
Why does it talk about the planes? Why? Why does it talk about the planes? At the beginning of the book.
It's the first thing you need to know as a DM.
So weird.
It's like starting like a book on like world building, and the first thing you talk about is extraplanar travel.
Yeah.
That isn't necessarily important to the world or the story or whatever.
But speaking of, look out for a world building episode literally just on extraplanar travel. It's just, and also they just give like 2 paragraphs description, so it's like enough so you understand what the plane is, but not enough for you to do anything about that information. It's just weird. Like, I'd rather like a Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes kind of book where they like really detail all the planes, a supplement that you can buy if you want. If you want your campaign to be like that. First thing that I guess my first complaint about the D&G is that it's not a core book. It's not.
The only core thing that I like really know about the DMG is just like exploration rules. I mean, there's some like random tables you can roll on for like environments and what you might run into and stuff.
Yeah, look,
but it's just buried.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know what I want in a DMG. Okay, I don't know what they should put in there really. Okay, I think that they should have a massive section detailing how to run a campaign and how to craft adventures and take your hand through that process for new DMs. I think that would be extremely helpful, literally just going through the process of building a campaign. However, if they did do that, I couldn't sell my course, which will be released very soon. Look out for that, guys. Which tells you exactly how to build a campaign from the ground up. I literally take your hand through that. But anyway, that would be really helpful.
Nice plug.
They do talk about making adventures, kind of. They talk about, like, the different genres of a campaign, which is cool. I think that's cool. But, I don't know. It's just, you don't need it. I use it the most for alternate rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think...
Alright, another thing that has to do with DMing. Challenge rating and counter building.
Oh my gosh. Oh my.
Challenge rating is just so all over the place.
Dude. Challenge rating sucks. It's, okay. Pathfinder is like, when we got Pathfinder 2nd edition, when me and Gabe and our friends were starting to look through that, and we got to the part where they explain building encounters, I cried. I was so happy. Because it's not amazing. It's good. They have a great system of building encounters. It's not amazing, but it's just because my only experience was with 5th edition D&D that it was beautiful. Their system is amazing and makes sense. Yep. It just makes sense. It's like, here's how you build an encounter, the different varying levels of difficulty depending on the level of your enemies, opposed to the level of your heroes. Here's how much XP you get. Also, a cool thing is that XP is not really weird. So in D&D, you just you keep counting your XP, and the amount of XP you need to get to the next level keeps changing, obviously, because you're counting it all. In Pathfinder, you get to 1,000, you level up, you reset back to 0. And so then that means every encounter building and spending XP on monsters and traps and stuff and encounters is all just relative, which makes it really nice. So it's not based on if your players are this level, then they get this, or whatever. Does that make sense? Because you're just matching everything to their level. Yeah. You're going to get the same amount of XP no matter what. If you're 5th level or 20th level for the same difficulty encounter.
Mm-hmm.
But difficulty relative to you, right? Is what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just nice and smoother. But in D&D, dude, it's so hard for new DMs to build encounters. It's so hard. I mean, our friend, he DM'd a 5e game the other day, and he's been DMing for maybe a year or two. And it was almost a TPK. It was the first fight we got into at the beginning of the campaign. We started 3rd level. It was almost a TPK. And I don't think that's his fault at all. I think it's the fault of how confusing challenge ratings are. I mean, it's just...
Also, just challenge rating, like, it's not like a linear system. You know? They're like just like some like breaks in challenge rating, like just like with like players where like, oh, challenge rating can like jump up and down like in power level compared to the players. It's just not like, oh, 6 is a little bit stronger than 5 and 7 is a little bit stronger than 6 necessarily. And sometimes there are creatures that are like challenge rating 3. They're going to be harder to beat for your party than challenge rating 5.
Yeah.
And that's just a matter of like monster design. But I'm just saying, like, the system and how they define like what challenge rating things are, just doesn't help.
Yeah. So apparently, in a challenge rating, the monster's challenge rating, if it's challenge rating 1, that is equal to 4 first level characters. If it's challenge rating 3, that's equal to 4 third level characters. First of all, that is not true. At all. I ran an encounter, the first session of our 2.5-year-long campaign, our big D&D campaign. The very first session, everyone's first level, okay? I have a party of maybe 6. At the end of that session, they faced off against 6 first challenge rating 1 creatures. Each one fought their own. That was stupid of me, and a lot of them almost died. But they won. They succeeded. So it's like, but that's not completely true. A challenge rating 1 does not equal 1 first level character either. It is more powerful. It's just so confusing. It's just so confusing.
Also, like, the way that like encounters are balanced is to have like, you know, longer adventuring days. You know, which I get it. I get it. But that just serves to make it more confusing. Because not everyone is going to work like that. So if they worked on like a smaller scale, we're like, okay, this is going to be if this is like the only encounter that day, then it's going to work like this. Like, this is going to be the difficulty for that. But, and you can like work off of that, like, okay, so if I'm having 4 encounters that day, then I can reduce it by this much, or reduce the amount of creatures by this much. But no, they planned, okay, what is the number? I'm looking at the number right now, where it's like the intended amount of encounters per day.
Okay. Should have 6 to 8 medium or hard combat encounters per day.
There we go. Yeah. 6 to 8.
Dude.
What?
What? I have Dude. That's like 3 sessions per day of just fighting. Fights take a long time.
Bro, do, like, people play, like, half-day sessions?
I am so lost.
Like, the entire, like, 3 to 4 hours that they're playing, it's, like, just from, like, when they wake up to noon? Like, what?
I mean, okay, there's a lot of things wrong with that. First, no. That's not true. That does not line up. Like, I don't think your party can do 6 to 8 medium to hard encounters per day. Because even if you have short rests, which is fine, it said with intended two short rests in that day, you only regain half your amount of hit dice when you take a long rest, not all of them. So, you'd have to spend only half your hit dice between those 2 short rests. That's just not true. You're gonna die if you're doing 6 to 8. Or eventually, after like 3 days, you're gonna have like no hit dice left. Also...
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm reading like a forum where people are talking about like the adventuring day, and there's this one guy who DMs their sessions are like 4 to 5 hours long. Each session is like half a day. All right. And he uses the optional rules for a short rest is an overnight rest, and a long rest is several days. And they do 6 encounters per session. What?
How? How? I'm confused. Sorry. Anyway, so not only is that bad design and actually doesn't make sense, also, that's not fun.
Okay, it's not fun for us, but I get it. Some people just really like going and doing a lot of combat encounters each session.
Yes.
Okay,
that is fine.
But
sorry. It is fine to like combat and love just playing combat. That's totally fine. There's those kind of players. Actually, we talk about it in our episode, Player Types. But 5th edition was like, let's bring role-playing back into the conversation with backgrounds and ideals and bonds and flaws, and like make it about the characters again, and not so much about the nitty-gritty combat details like 4th edition, which people were irritated about. And then they're also like 6 to 8 combat encounters every day.
That's how things are balanced. Take it or leave it.
Your story's not gonna progress with 6 to 8 combat encounters every day. Let me just tell you. You have to. Your campaign setting has to be the darkest world. That your characters are fighting 6 times. Like, everybody in the world wants to kill them.
Like that guy was just talking about, how do you have like 12 combat encounters in a single day in that world? Like 12? What?
That is insane. Anyway. Yeah. Okay, also, like, they have a whole table. I think it's at the beginning of the monster manual, where, like, how to build encounters with challenge rating. And then, like, make your XP budget from this and this and this, but then if there's multiple monsters, multiply it by this and then divide it by this. Seriously, it's that complex. And not only is it totally not true, I tried doing it once, and it was the worst balanced encounter I've ever made. It's like the moment you add another, like, monster, it's just, you have to make everyone, like, really weak now or something. It's really weird. It just, like, it's bad, dude. It's just so bad. Their system of telling you how to build encounters and plus challenge rating, it's so difficult for new DMs. I feel so bad. I mean, it happened to me, of course, when, Nowadays, though, I literally just have to build everything off, like, the party and just... I've played enough to understand the party levels, like, power level, and I don't use monster stats anymore. I just make my own monster stats now to reflect what's going to be good for the party. Because also, like, I will make a challenge rating, at the end of our last campaign, okay? Everyone's 20th level. They're gonna the bad guy has to be really powerful. So I'm like, okay, I gotta make a challenge rating 30. And let me look at the few challenge rating 30 creatures that exist, and then base it off of those stats as like a, you know, as a baseline, for balance.
Yeah.
But, first of all, I had to make him a little bit stronger just because you guys had some really powerful magic weapons and stuff. But I had to, like, quadruple his health. I mean, there was... Okay. I did have 2 paladins in the party, so maybe that's a reason. And by the way, we're getting to paladins. Don't think we're not going to talk about paladins.
We're getting to paladins. We're getting to paladins.
But also, like, I had to, like... Because now that I'd played enough, you know, or that campaign was going on for a very long time, I totally understood the party's power level and stuff just because we've been playing for so long that I knew that I had to quadruple the Tarask's max health for this to be a balanced encounter. But, I mean, just... Man. It's so rough.
Yeah.
And can you talk about Unwelcome Spirits? The encounters that they told you to do?
Oh, yeah. While we're on this, the encounters were crazy. For first level characters, crazy. And I didn't do like any random encounters. Well, sure, a lot of the random encounters weren't like combat things, but there were some like, so like I just, like they expect you to fight 6 harpies at first level, when you might have had to like fight something else during the day. 6 harpies. They have a thing that they do before like the combat starts, where they try and like, it's like some sort of magic effect that, like,
Luring Song.
Charms. Yeah, Luring Song or whatever. And charms the players. And they do that, like, before, like, the encounter starts, like, according to, like, the guide for the adventure. And I'm just so confused how a party of, like I say, we're, like, 4 people in our party. So that's, like, an average party. How are 4 first-level characters supposed to deal with 6 creatures?
Challenge rating 1.
They can fly.
Challenge rating 1 creatures, they can fly. They each have 38 hit points. They each have multi-attack. And if they hit both their attacks, their average damage is what? 8? Average damage. Plus, they can charm the... Dude. Oh, and have 6 to 8 of these fights every day. What? So, it's not just, is it hard for you to make your own encounters? Some of the printed, pre-made encounters are unbalanced. Dude. So, Unwelcome Spirits is the actual play series that we had. Go listen to it if you haven't. It was really fun. But it is an official 5th edition product, the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. There's a couple adventures in there. And Gabe runs one of them for us. And the first encounter we have is against, like, 2 poisonous snake groups or something. Like, snake swarms. And they deal, like, 3d6 damage or something insane. To first-level characters.
Right, you just get, like, insta-killed.
And we're recording, right? And I didn't want to, like, disrupt the recording or anything, so we're in combat. And our cameras are turned on, our webcams. And I'm looking at Gabe, and I'm just like, what? My face is like, what is going on? We're gonna die. And he's looking back like, dude, he's like, his face was like, I gotta start changing things up. Because you guys are gonna die.
I was like, tweaking things on the go, like, in between turns, like, actually, we're gonna reduce it.
Yeah, and then
we're gonna reduce
And then after the recording, I'm like, yo, so what was that? And he's like, dude, I had to cut 2 of the snakes. He's like, I halved the amount of... He's like, I already halved the amount of monsters you had to fight before we even got in the encounter, and it was still unbalanced. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah. Really rough. Horrible.
Okay, see, here's what it was.
Yeah.
So it's a bite, they're like a swarm, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They have over half their HP. It's +6 to hit, and
Plus
2d6
6.
piercing damage.
Oh
if they're below half their health, it's 1d6. Then in addition to that, the target must make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw, or take 46 poison damage.
4d6.
on a failed save. And these guys have 36 hit points.
Wait, so you're saying if they're above half health, they can deal 6d6 damage?
Yeah.
That's, what, 21 damage?
Oh my god.
It's an average of 20? No, that's not true. Is that true?
Wait. 46? So 4 times 3.5?
No, 66, right? Because they deal 2d6 piercing, 40...
Oh, 66. Sorry, yeah, 66.
Because, right, 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3, 21.
Yeah?
What's the average for 8d6? No,
I think we're doing the math correctly, right?
Wait, how much is Fireball? How much damage is Fireball?
3.5 times 8. 28. 3.5 times 8 is 28.
Fireball does an average of 28 damage? I thought it was an average of... Anyway, hey. Doesn't matter.
Math.
The point is, I'm pretty sure... I thought that a Fireball does an average of 21 damage. That's why I'm getting confused. Anywho, hey, this snake, I think if we're doing our math correctly, if you fail your save, and they hit, which they will, because it's plus
Fireball
6...
Fireball is 66, isn't it? Or is it 86? I'm dumb.
Fireball is 86.
It is 86. It is 86, yeah.
Is 21 damage, which will kill, outright kill, max health, like wizard, rogue, everything. No, actually, maybe not a rogue. Maybe. That's... Guys, it sucks. I'm sure you can find a homebrew out there where someone made a new challenge rating system and created a challenge rating for every single monster to help you out.
Oh yeah, and by the way, like, the party's supposed to be, like, surprised if they didn't have a passive perception over this score. Which I just totally ignored.
To make matters worse. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and by the way, you don't get to have a turn.
I'm sure you can find a homebrew of someone having a balanced system like this, and if you do find one, please share it on the Discord for everybody else. Okay, that was challenge rating and encounter building. Really? Oh god, that one hurts.
All right.
That one's really painful. What else?
Yeah.
What else we got?
That's painful. All right, economy and treasure. All right, 5th edition is decently balanced. All right, decently balanced. There are some balance issues here and there.
Yes.
But overall, because of its simplicity, it's pretty decently balanced.
Yeah.
One of the few things that can really break it, because of how D&D works with, like, bounded accuracy, and, you know, working on, like, your modifiers and things like that, like a +1 bonus to attack, is really powerful. One of the few things that can really break the game is by giving your party access or the ability to buy or gain access to magic items. Magic items can break this game.
Yep.
And the amount of gold the characters get per, like, official encounters and stuff, like dungeons, can be insane.
Dude, money is just so off. The economy of the Forgotten Realms is the most broken, weirdest thing ever. It's so wild. I recently, it's like over the past year, once I've, like, realized, like, what's going on with the economy and stuff, all the D&D games I've tried to run, I've tried to have really low economy kind of games, where they're still counting their coppers and everything. I think that's fun, that's realistic. You actually have to think about your money and stuff, because, like, you know, when the party travels to the new city and have to stay at the inn, it might cost them, like, a silver each or whatever, and, like, I want that to, like, not hurt a ton, but, you know, like, actually matter, right? And anytime they want to, you know, it should be hard to buy that plate armor, you know? That should be a thing you're building towards, saving up for. I like having money in my games and having that to be an extra component that your players need to keep in mind and stuff. Personally, I think that's fun. But if you run like any of the pre-made adventures, like when they find that treasure at the end of that adventure or whatever, it's like a gazillion dollars. I mean,
all right. Here's for a low magic campaign.
Yeah,
you're supposed to like have on average, like 5th level, like hundreds and hundreds, or if not thousands, of gold.
And okay, and here's the thing: you don't do anything with that. By the way, what are you spending your gold on? Okay, you buy the best armor and equipment and weapons that you possibly can from the player's handbook. Sure. But like we're talking thousands and thousands of gold that these people are getting, and also somehow carrying around. Also, by the way, and they're like, you know what I mean? We're gonna get to encumbrance. Yeah. We're gonna get to encumbrance too. Don't you worry. We're ranting about everything today. But also, you know, your players in their character sheet, it's like in their GP, it's like 7,000. Like, gold weighs, by the way.
A lot, by the way.
Yeah, like, gold weighs quite a lot.
Like, it has weight.
Yeah, it's just, because, like, what? In our campaign, right? Our big D&D campaign, you guys had so much money.
Yeah, we had a lot of money.
I mean, like, and tens of thousands.
But, okay, get this. The typical, like, core treasure acquired by 20th level, I think this is official. Yeah, part of the DMG. By 20th level, typical horde, 818,000. 818,000 gold.
Oh man, yeah.
I don't know how that makes sense if you aren't trying to become an oil baron in your D&D campaign.
No, like, the only thing you use your money for is, like, literally, like, building a keep or, like, starting a city. Like, genuinely. Because you're just gonna have so much money. Here's... Also, by the way, keep in mind, in that campaign, I, like, never reward money. Okay? I barely ever reward money to my players for adventures. I think it's just because I forget to. But, like, I mean, we're finding in our Star Wars campaign that we're running right now, you guys are actually literally running out of money.
Yeah.
It's the most surprising thing to me. I've never even considered that you can run out of money in a role-playing game, and I love that that's happening. But also, that's because...
By the way, this is per character. That was per character, by the way.
Wait, that was per character?
Yeah.
Anyway, so, like, I barely rewarded them, like, I didn't reward them, like, any money in my adventures. However, I did run some pre-made adventures in that campaign. I ran some stuff from the Yawning Portal, Tales of the Yawning Portal, and stuff like that. So, basically, all the money you guys were rewarded, right, in that D&D campaign was just from the pre-made modules. Right? I'm pretty sure. I don't think I, like, ever rewarded you guys money. And they still had tens of thousands of dollars because they get so much money from that. It's just...
Yeah, it's...
Dungeons are the most... I mean, there's so much money in dungeons, you guys. So much money in dungeons. And also just... Like, okay, if the adventurer is to kill a dragon in his dragon horde, like, that's a cool adventure. You get to the end, you kill the dragon, now you have a hoard of treasure. That's, like, awesome. That's a cool reward. But by the way, now make them deal with the problem of transporting that money. Don't let them just, like, take all that money. It's like, okay, so if you count up all the coins and the gems and the goblets and all that kind of stuff, the whole horde totals out to about 818,000 GP. And now you have that. Like, what? No, that's not how it works. You have to transport that money. Anyway.
Well, when you have that much, I guess you just have, like, 10 bags of holding on you at any time.
Oh, right. But, I mean, even the bags of holding can't hold anything. You know, they have a limit.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why you need like a bajillion of them.
oh yeah, but also like magic items. First of all, magic items don't have a cost, which is irritating. So if you want to like have a little village where someone maybe sells some healing potions or whatever, or like a magic item, you have to come up with what you think that will cost because there's not really any costs broke down in the DMG for magic items, by the way. But anyway, can you rant about magic items real quick? Because you started with that and we kind of got off track, but...
Alright, yes. We got off track of the money. The magic items. Okay. So, D&D works on like a bounded accuracy system. Which, to make things simple, small little bonuses to hit, small little things to, like your DC, for your spells and such, can make a very big difference. A lot bigger than it seems. Like a +1 weapon is a lot more powerful than you think it is.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind as we're talking later, like I was talking earlier about like, oh, you have so much money playing typical campaign or high fantasy, which is very common. You have access to a lot of magic items when you go to a city, which you can buy with your enormous amounts of money. And these magic items can be insanely powerful. Like, looking entirely past like different like abilities and things that it can give you. Just being able to like buy a +3 weapon.
Oh my gosh.
When you're like, whatever level you are, like, you have so much money, and you can just like buy these crazy powerful weapons. They can break games. Like, okay, in that long campaign that we had some really powerful weapons that we have for the later levels.
Yeah. You just
Now,
have to...
if we had the money that you were supposed to have,
yeah,
according to the DMG, we could have had that way earlier.
Yeah.
And that would have made us even more
and
powerful.
also, by the way, those weapons were very powerful. They didn't buy them. Like, they had to earn them on an adventure. Like, they had to go and work for it, and that was the reward to get those weapons, by the way. Also, so, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't just let them, like, buy these weapons either. Because they could. But, like, they also had to, like, earn it and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's just wild.
So, like, legendary magic items cost around, like 50,000 plus GP. So, if you had like 800,000.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You just have a horde of legendary items.
Oh god.
You could just destroy an economy.
No, seriously.
We should run a campaign like that. Where we just like start off like really high level with a ton of money, and we just see how much damage we can do to the world.
I think if we want to play realistic, like a realistic D&D or whatever, we like start the campaign and just the economy is broken because the adventures are the 1%. You know what I mean? And
that's really funny. We should try that.
Yeah, actually, that's actually kind of cool. And then like you have to like take down the high adventures or whatever. And like put the money back into the economy and give back to the people.
Bourgeoisie.
Anyway, hey, let's move on. By the way, this Topaz Herald was the one who asked about that and how to balance that. That's how we got the idea for this episode. Sorry, Topaz Herald, we don't have an answer for you. Just make it low.
Yeah.
Make it low. Always go for low, because also then you can make stories out of them running out of money, make it a new like mission for them or whatever. When they have so much money, it just becomes in the background, doesn't even matter. Whatever.
It becomes a non-issue.
And that's fine. If nobody cares about that, then keep it, whatever. Then don't make money a big thing.
Also, when you have, like, limited access to, like, potions and other, like, magic items and such, then the players have to, like, care a little bit more about when they use these things, They have, like, one potion of fire giant strength.
Yeah.
Amongst the whole party. Then they're going to be like waiting for an extremely impactful moment to use that potion.
But
if they have 10,
yeah,
they're just going to be popping one at the beginning of every count.
Or like me in Skyrim, just never use them because I'm so scared I don't want to waste any of my potions.
Exactly.
Okay. Actually, let's move encumbrance up because this still kind of fits into what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about encumbrance right now. So here's the thing. I don't need encumbrance to be very realistic. Okay, I understand that it's a game and stuff. So I need to be like, there's no way you can carry, like, 3 swords. Like, that's fine. I was playing Witcher 3 the other day. You can carry so much in Witcher 3. I had like 3 swords, 5 hammers, like 2 whole other outfits, like our suits of armor, plus all my potions and stuff, and like I was fine. I was sprinting around. You know, none of that stuff even appeared like on my back, like you couldn't see all that stuff. Same with Skyrim, right? Like that stuff just disappears. It's in some kind of pocket dimension. That's fine. Look, I don't need you to realistically, like I understand it's a game. You don't need to realistically be like, you actually can't carry that much. But I mean, my problem honestly isn't with that. It's just with pounds. Are you kidding me? Pounds. If you are a video game and you can automate encumbrance, by all means, do pounds and decimals, that's fine. But if you're a tabletop role-playing game and your players have to track the weight of what they're holding and their encumbrance, and you made it into pounds, nobody's gonna track that.
Nobody wants to track it.
Dude, have we ever tracked encumbrance in D&D?
Yeah, we tried to once, and we forgot about the session after.
Yeah. Because pounds is stupid.
We just didn't care enough. It wasn't worth doing all the bookwork.
Yeah, look, encumbrance is good for making it realistic and stuff, and I think you should use encumbrance. I think that it matters, you know what I mean? I think that, you know, your players shouldn't be able to carry literally everything. But Pathfinder and Edge of the Empire, the Star Wars system, which are both, I think everyone would agree, more complex, more complicated systems than 5e, right? 5e is made for, you know, being simple. Have very simple encumbrance rules that make sense and are good.
They have to track every single ounce that they're carrying.
Dude, pounds. I'm sorry. I
just hate encumbrance in general.
I hate it. Hey,
I just hate having to track it and having to care about it.
I mean, I don't hate encumbrance in general. I think if the system is good, implement it into your games.
Sure.
But okay, I know there's homebrew out there. I've seen a couple of fixing 5th edition encumbrance. Use those if you're interested. If you don't really care about using it for your game, that's totally fine. That's up to you. But making it pounds is really irritating because you want that streamlined, you know, simplistic design that 5th edition is bragging about, and this ain't it, Chief.
Yeah.
Gabe?
Okay, another little thing I want to tag on here.
Go ahead.
About encumbrance in pounds. So if you do this in your first level, you're trying to track how much you have, they don't list the weight of the different packs. You know, each class gets access to either an adventure, explorer, scholars, whatever. It doesn't state that.
Yeah.
You have to look up the pack.
Yep.
You have to figure out how much each individual item weighs.
Yep.
And then track that to get the pack.
Yeah. So irritating. Dude. That is... Okay, sorry. Ugh. Okay, moving on. Gabe?
Alright.
Can you go off about ability balance, please?
Yes.
Queen, go off.
Ability scores. Abilities in D&D 5th edition. Their importance and strength... I know strength. Vary. Drastically. Alright? This annoys me so much because it just makes so many things just like, you can take it, but just, you know, in the bottom of your heart, you just aren't going to be as good as the rest of the party.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, there's like no room to make like a really viable character that also ooh, I also want to specialize in this. I'm going to increase my intelligence a bit. If you increase your intelligence a bit and you don't need your intelligence for your class, and instead you're not increasing your dexterity, you're just gimping yourself. Which, sure, if you don't care about that, go ahead with it. But dexterity and wisdom are so much better than everything else.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, look, I mean, the thing about, all ability scores should be balanced. Obviously, depending on your class, certain ones should be more important. That's fine.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But, in general, all of them should be balanced. There should be balance within the classes, right? Like, wisdom should be featured the same, like, should be the highest ability score, the same amount as intelligence should be, and strength. Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
like, 2 classes, 1 high strength, 2 classes, 1 high wisdom, or whatever. And everything is, like, all balanced, right? But that's just so not true. Dexterity is so good just have high dexterity.
Stat.
And if your class wants high dexterity, so you're just going to put your dexterity high anyway because it works for your class, then you're going to get a ton of other extra benefits because everybody loves dexterity is used for initiative. Dex saving throws are used all the time. Stealth is used all the time. Like,
armor class.
Armor class. Dude, Dex is used for everything. And you know what's not? Intelligence. Intelligence is such a dumb stat. Charisma also,
you could such like a sad boy.
You could
sitting over there in the corner.
You could argue also charisma is also a dumb stat. I know charisma has been a dumb stat in a lot of recent editions. I feel like charisma is not. I feel like we do a lot of role playing though, so you seem to make a lot of charisma checks during the session or whatever. But I mean, and also here's why intelligence is also worse. 1 class likes intelligence. 1 class.
And then like 2 subclasses.
And then 2 subclasses you might take, right? You might take. But Dex, who wants high Dex? Rogues.
Everyone.
Rangers. Bards. Fighters. Dude. What? So when you're a wizard and you make your intelligence highest because so you can be good in your class, you're not also getting a high initiative, a higher armor class, a good stealth. But when you're a rogue and you make
a good
dex. Oh my gosh! But when you're a rogue and you make your dex high because it's good for your class, that's what you use the most. That's fine. You're also just, by the way, getting a higher armor class, good stealth, good dex saves, good initiative. I'm not pissed. I'm just kidding.
Also,
yeah.
And then for wisdom, things are like wisdom saving throws are not as common as dexterity saving throws, but they're also a lot more impactful to fail on a wisdom saving throw than typically is for a dex saving throw.
Yeah. And wisdom is used for perception.
Skills. Yes.
Yeah. Perception is used all the time, obviously. Insight, if you're the kind of team who anytime an NPC says something, everyone on the table goes, insight! And I'll see if they're lying. Which, by the way, not a fan of. I believe the phrase is not, I want to insight check them. It's, are they lying? And then the DM says, make an insight check. It doesn't go. Also, insight is not just what's it called? A lie detector.
Detect lies.
Yeah, it's not a. By the way, I mean we barely do that in our games, right? I feel like we barely insight.
Yeah.
Anywho,
we don't do it much because
it's not a lie detector. But insight also, by the way, guys, insight can be used for a lot of other things. Like what can I discern maybe their motives, or what are they feeling about this situation or whatever, like to take cues off of them for what you'd say next in your role playing scene. Anyway, yeah, Dex is really good. Strength is also pretty good. I
mean, like, depends on your game. Like, strength is a lot weaker than Dex and wisdom.
Yeah. Okay, you know what?
Depends on like.
You know what's a really great example? Constitution. What? Constitution is just so nice. First of all, it's not valued highly in any class in the sense like it's not going to be your highest because you don't use it for casting spells or attacking. And every class wants it. You want a solid con because it's your health. And it's perfectly balanced. You know what? It's perfectly balanced the way it is. Also, con saves about as common as whiz saves. Pretty good. Pretty useful. Just good.
Like, yeah.
Constitution is just so nice and solid. And Dex
I know that people are saying like, oh, but you're just saying like the Dex, like everyone wants Dex. So why are you saying everyone wants con is a good thing? It's not bad that everyone wants like an ability score. Like I think it's good that like every character should like want to have a decent score and everything. Like for like to make their class better, make their character better.
Yeah.
I think we should discourage more just specializing in one thing just to become ultra powerful.
Yeah.
Every stat should benefit every class in some little way.
Yeah, oh yeah. Also, con, hey, if you're a barbarian or a fighter, you're going to be in the front lines. You're going to be taking lots of hits. You probably want a high con so that you can last longer in battle. Hey, are you a spellcaster? You're going to want to be concentrating on those spells, so take a high con, because Constitution saving throws are going to help you concentrate on your spells. Wow, look at that. That was easy and fun.
Mm-hmm.
And
makes con. It's applicable to every single class, every single character.
Yeah.
Intelligence? Okay, a wizard wants it. An Eldritch Knight wants it. What's it called? Like
Arcane Trickster. Yeah.
Wants it. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Barbarians could care less. Fighters could care less.
Yeah.
Bards could care less.
And anyone, literally anyone.
Everyone could care less.
Yeah. And, you know, intelligence skills, you know, maybe you use investigation kind of often. And medicine at early levels. Okay,
but the thing is, like, a lot of those things, like, it just varies from campaign to campaign. Perception is, like, a universal thing.
Yeah.
It's a very universal thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's just, yeah. So what we have been doing is, in character creation, you get extra proficiencies, like tool, skill, proficiencies, or whatever, equal to your intelligence modifier, because you're smarter, so you would have learned more things. That gives it just a little more bump, right? Some stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Make intelligence a little more valuable. It's what they do in Pathfinder. It's just, yeah. Anyway, ability balance is really irritating. It's just, what's irritating about it is that when you're a ranger, you're the class just wants high dex and wisdom. Like, it's just a part of the class. So you just do that because it's gonna be best for being a ranger. But also, they're just the best abilities. Mm-hmm. So you're just more powerful than the wizard. Because intelligence and con are just not as good as the other two. And it's just, I don't know, man.
Which ties, okay, we're skipping around, whatever. I want to tag this in here. Which ties into, like, power curves. Like, wizards are really weak at low levels, then they become insane at higher levels because of really powerful spells and such.
Yeah.
They can be really valuable. But, like, it can just be, like, a party can be really imbalanced. If they're at the same level.
Yeah, dude.
Like, in between the party, it can become so imbalanced.
Yeah, man. Definitely.
Which isn't good. Like, sure, like, you don't have to, like, engage in like, party fighting, which I would, like, discourage. Like, yeah, I can see, like, a reason why you would want to do it. It could be fun in certain times. But, in general, you're not going to be infighting. So you think, like, oh, it might not be that big of a problem if there's, like, not, like, a same level of balance between every single character. But, if one person knows, like, oh, my character is, like, really weak compared to the rest of them.
Yeah.
That just, like, doesn't feel good, you know?
Yeah, for sure. No. It doesn't feel good when you're... I mean, once again, player types, some people don't really care. Some people care a lot. Even as someone like me and Gabe, we both love role-playing, we both love the story aspects. But we also love, like, creating really good, like, characters. And we both love diving deep into how can we combine this subclass with this ability score, you know, array to create, like, a really cool build, right? That's fun for us. That's interesting to both of us. And so we like to feel powerful because we've spent time on researching and trying to figure out, you know, a good build for our characters or whatever. But, like, and it just feels crappy at first level when the wizard who has 2 spell slots has to burn one to deal not even as much damage that the barbarian gets on every single attack for no extra resources. So it's just like, yeah, you know. Yeah, the power curve could be fixed. Obviously, at the higher levels, you want the wizard to feel like a god with their meteor swarms and stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. But, yeah. Okay. Hey, you want to talk about Variant Human real quick? You put that in here?
Yeah. I tag this in real quick. Just because in the community, like, when you're, like, you know, thinking about builds and such, unless you're going, like... Let me put this into better words. Variant Human is really good. Alright? +1 to 2 ability scores. Nice. You know? Good. You're a good way there to advancing your ability scores. You can advance them more at later levels, 4, 8, 12, 16, 19. And you get a free feat. This little thing, they're like, oh cool, free feat. It's not like feats are powerful, except there are some very powerful feats, which makes Very Inhuman extremely powerful, especially if you're looking for like an optimal build or something, or a really interesting build that requires a feat. Just take a Very Inhuman, you get that for free at first level. You don't have to worry about grabbing it later on.
Yeah.
And I don't like that because it just leads to a ton of humans.
If you're a fighter and you get a gazillion ability score increases, you're just taking a gazillion feats as well. And getting an extra one. Okay, here's the thing. The thing about Very Inhuman that is actually pretty balanced is that it gets 2 +1s, not a +2 and a +1, like most other races. And so what that means is that they will be stunted on one of their top ability scores. Okay, so here's what I mean. Say you are going to be a ranger. You want high dex and wisdom. And because you care about being a powerful character, you're that kind of player. You want to take a race that gives you bonuses to dex and wisdom. So let's just say you take a wood elf, because of course you're playing a ranger. Wood elf rangers are the most common things in the world. Wood elf gives you +2 to dex and +1 to wisdom. Okay, and so let's just say you take standard array. Also, by the way, use standard array in your games. Rolling leads to lots of imbalance, and having 18s or 20s at first level, which is stupid. We use standard array. We love standard array. Point by 2. Point by is fine. It will be just as balanced as standard array, but it's a little more customizable. Okay. So you have a 15 and a 14. You put your 14 in dexterity, in my example, and your 15 in wisdom. Therefore, both those will be bumped up to 16. So you have 2 +3s in your 2 highest scores. Great. If you take a Very Inhuman, one of those will be a +3 and one of them will be a +2. Right? Because you'll have a 16 and a 15. So you're a little stunted. Your secondary ability score will not have that extra +1. So in that way, it is balanced. But you also just get a feat. And feats are really good.
Which, by the way, they're feats that give size.
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
Sure, I love the idea of happy to give you like a little bit of a bonus.
Yeah.
But it also makes...
Yeah, by the way.
Takes away from that little balance.
I forgot about that. Here's the thing. I love taking a feat at first level. It's really fun. It really helps you customize your character. I love it. Gabe, don't you love it? I think it's fun.
I love it, yeah. It's great.
It's
just having that limited to one single...
Yeah.
And also... race.
Also, you said that you were a little irritated with having a party full of humans. I don't care at all. Human is one of my favorite races, so... If having a party full of humans is fine. I mean, honestly, I feel like nobody plays human, honestly. But I think it's just because newer players don't understand the power of Very Inhuman. And also just because people want to be like tieflings, because those are awesome. Yeah. I wish, like, I love feats. Like, I'm going to take Very Inhuman in, like, every character I build. Because I really like taking a feat at first level. It's really fun for me. I don't want to wait till 4th to take my first feat. But Gabe is right that it's pretty powerful. So just something to think about. Something to consider. Food for thought.
Something to think about.
Oh, okay. Also, sorry for the noise in my background. Hey. This is really weird and niche, but it's something that irritates me. There are so many races that give bonuses to strength and con. Let me move my mic back a little bit so that maybe you don't hear them as much. There are so many races that give bonuses to strength and con. Okay, in base player's handbook, it's just like half-orc, right? That's basically it, I think.
And...
Dwarf.
Yeah, dwarf.
And dwarf. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Then come all the other races that they added in Volo's Guide and other things. Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. Dude. Too many. Too many races. First of all, like all the monstrous races in Volo's Guide. Orc, bugbear, hobgoblin, all that kind of stuff. Plus Goliaths. Plus, like Tritons, I think. Plus, what is that other one in Explorer's Guide to Development?
Durgar. Oh, Explorer's Guide to Development?
Other things. I think like Warforged 2 or something. Dude.
Oh, Warforged. Don't even get me started.
Oh, yeah, we're not going to talk about that here. That's that's another episode. It's just called Warforged Rant. Yeah, there's so many strength and con races. I think, I love the idea that races give different bonuses to different ability scores. Can we spread out the love, dude? I think the Player's Handbook has a pretty good spread. There's also a lot of, like, Dex Whiz and stuff like that. And, like, the only intelligence one is, like, a gnome. But, like, let's when we're adding these new races...
High elf.
When we're adding the new races, like, let's spread the love a little bit. Let's create some new combinations. Charisma and intelligent. Oh, that's what a tiefling gets. You know, wisdom and con, or whatever. Like, let's do a ton of new stuff. Some of the new races also have, like, 3+1s. That's really interesting. Let's do cooler stuff like that. But instead of just, like, strength and con, strength and con, strength and con. Oh, like one of the Dragonborn sub-races in the Explorer's Guide is strength and con, too. So much!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dragonborn are criminally weak.
Yeah, Dragonborn suck. Okay. And speaking... Do you know one of the reasons Dragonborn suck is our next topic.
Resistances and vulnerabilities.
Why do we hate those? We don't...
Well, we don't hate them.
We don't hate them, actually. We love them. That's the problem.
We love them. We want more of them.
We want more. You guys,
Yeah. So Shiloh came up with this theory a while ago and I agree with it. Like every creature within reason, like in the monsters manual and everything else, should have like one sort of resistance and vulnerability.
Yeah,
within
at least
reason.
one. At least one of each.
Yeah. This is good for numerous reasons. Resistance, grants a little bit of flavor. There are a lot of resistances. Cool. That fits. Vulnerabilities. Adds counterplay.
Yep.
Makes your players work outside of the box instead of just hitting it over and over again.
Yep.
Oh, perhaps they discovered it has some sort of vulnerability and they work like to take advantage of that.
Also, makes spellcasters better because they have access to different damaging spells, whereas the weapon martial fighters only have access to, like, one of, like, bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. And even then, you know, maybe they have to switch to a different weapon that may be weaker than what they usually use, but because of the damage type, you know, yeah, that's really interesting. But, yeah.
It just adds more variety to combat. This is a great way for you to introduce, like, things in the world that the players can use besides just their attacks to add more variety to combat.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Add things to the world, like, oh, look, we take advantage of this thing that we found here, like, oh, this, whatever it is, to take advantage of this vulnerability, this weakness.
Yep. Here's the thing. By adding way more resistances and vulnerabilities into your game, it makes damage type matter. And you want damage type. It makes combat just like not just combat. I'll get to it in a second. Just so much more interesting and tactical, and you have to think about it. And the way that you play, you have to adapt in the middle of the battle. You have to evolve to what's going on. And like, if you take the concept of like mythic monsters that we talk about in our Theros review part 2, which is basically like, after a monster dies, it like kind of regains all its hit points or whatever, but then like it changes, it like evolves into a different kind of creature or it gets a new power. Maybe also it gains new resistances or vulnerabilities, and now you have to adapt mid-battle to the new changes to the creature. Guys, it makes damage type matter, and it makes spellcasting. You want to choose an array of different damaging spells that have different damaging types, not just the most powerful ones, because then it will matter. Your barbarian will, take the maul that deals bludgeoning, but they're also going to have maybe, some javelins for piercing or whatever, because they want to be able to mix it up. And then in your battlefield, you have braziers. They can push over that will deal fire damage because the creature is vulnerable to fire. You have ice crystals around the thing. You have whatever. Also, in the adventure, in the build-up to the boss battle, you witcher this thing up, and they're following the tracks of this beast that they're hunting, and they learn about where its habitat is, or its previous, where its previous attacks, where it attacked other people, like in Witcher, as you're like following the trail of the beast. And you can learn about their vulnerabilities or weaknesses, and then prepare so that when you get to the boss battle, the players feel satisfied because they prepared based on the stuff that they found out in the beginning of the adventure to help better, like they found the monster's weaknesses, literally. It's just, it just makes it so much cooler. Anyway, that was really intense.
Yeah, while we're on this topic, 1 second and I'll find... Aha, here. 1 second. While we're on the topic of resistances, there are a lot of resistances in like the monster manual, but not enough variety in them.
Yeah.
The number of resistances to fire and poison are crazy. Okay. There's like 477 creatures that have like resistance to poison.
Really? Oh my gosh.
127 undead, 127 fiends, 100 constructs, and 45 elementals.
And by the way, like 2 have resistance to like force damage or whatever.
Yeah.
But okay. Yeah, and also like then when you get to higher levels, eventually everyone has resistance to, every monster has resistances to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical weapons, blah 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 blah. Okay. That's fine, whatever. It means that you have to reach the next echelon where everyone has magical weapons. I don't care. But by also giving them vulnerabilities, once again, if you find their vulnerability, it's really fun, you can exploit it, that's cool. But also vulnerabilities, I understand the restraint as well, because dealing double damage is really powerful. Maybe you can figure out a different way to deal with vulnerabilities so it's not as insanely strong. Because, you deal double damage if you deal the damage type to their vulnerabilities. Yeah, it's just there's not variety. And also because there's also just not a lot of vulnerabilities, it makes resistances also not matter too much. I love the skeletons. I love skeletons because they are vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. Okay? That makes so much sense. They're bones. And so when you hit them with a bludgeoning weapon, you're gonna like break their bones apart and send them flying and stuff. But piercing and slashing a skeleton won't do a lot. It makes logical sense. I'm so glad that they're vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. It means that the martial characters in your party or whatever may switch to their bludgeoning weapons in that fight. That's interesting. That's cool. If the skeletons are also the minions in this battle of a bigger demon boss, then they have to switch to another weapon to fight him or whatever. Like, it just makes it so much more tactical. I love skeletons because they're vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. I love the elementals. Water elemental, vulnerable to lightning damage, obviously. Earth elemental, vulnerable to thunder damage. That's so cool. They're vulnerable to, the sonic booms. That makes sense. It's just, I love that. That's so cool. It just means it's like tactical, and spellcasters now will switch to a different damaging spell to deal more damage. I love it. It's just, it makes it more interesting. Okay, I think you guys get the point.
All right. Yeah. So I was looking up some numbers. So just in the Monsters Manual.
Yeah.
Just in the Monsters Manual, none of the other monsters. 100 are either resistant or immune to poison. 95 are immune, 5 are resistant.
Yeah. Wow.
Compare that to, like, Necrotic, where 11 are resistant and 11 are immune. What?
Yeah. Okay, Gabe. It's that part of the episode. It's that part of the episode where we talk about, drumroll please, the Paladin.
There we go. Nothing teaches you what a Paladin can do than playing with one in your party for 2 years.
Or, in my case, DMing for 2.
Oh boy.
Oh boy is right.
Paladins are just crazy. Alright, like, I don't know how to say this other than they get what they need, and they're really good at it. And they get way too much.
I want to cry. When I look back on all the times they Divine Smite and critted and just...
Other way around.
Oh, sorry. They critted and then they chose to Divine Smite because they can. And then I knocked their friend unconscious, but no! Their aura keeps them alive! And then my ultimate Lich baddie tries to cast a spell on all of them, and they should all fail, but nope, they all have advantage because the aura of magical protection. And then I tried to hit my paladin.
+5.
I tried to hit the paladin, but no. He's proficient in everything, so he has an armor class of 25, and also access to Shield of Faith spell, by the way. No, but in all seriousness, guys, paladins are machines. They're machines. They're so strong. I mean, both the paladins in our party multiclassed. One of them went into fighter, and one of them went into noble, which is like a homebrewed kind of class that we use. And so they weren't even full level. If they'd both taken all the levels in paladin, it would have been worse.
Oh my goodness! And they get access to the avatars.
It's they're just so good at everything. They don't die. They deal so much damage. And also, it doesn't come down to one thing. You need to fully rework that class. I mean, yes, is Divine Smite typically the source of all your problems? Yes, but it's not also Divine Smite. It's just auras and...
Also the auras.
The fact that they have lay on hands and...
Also lay on hands, oh my...
That they're half-casters.
Also, another problem with the Paladin is that they have, like, redundant things. And things they don't use, like, ever. You know? Like, Divine Sense.
What's Divine Sense?
I don't know. No one's ever used it.
Never used it before.
Or, you know, all those really cool smites that they get access to?
Yeah.
That people don't use because it takes bonus action and concentration when they could just deal more damage by Divine Smiting.
Oh my gosh. Dude, you get Divine Smite at 2nd level. And listen to me. That's not true. Is that true?
Yeah, 2nd level.
Or is it 3rd?
It's 2nd. I'm looking at the class right now.
Wait, then do they gain access to spells at 2nd level? Yeah, they do.
What?
They get access to spells at 2nd level, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, how many spell slots? 2 or 1?
2.
Okay. So at 2nd level, on 2 of your attacks. By the way, after you hit, you can just choose, not a bonus action, that you don't lose it if you miss the attack. But just by hitting the attack, you can then choose, and if it's a crit, good for you, you can choose. It doesn't matter, there's no risk involved. You can expend one of your 2 spell slots at 2nd level to deal an extra 2d8 damage. That's an average of 9 damage. And you can do that with 2 attacks.
Also, it's one of the rarer types of damage, Radiant. Which, in the Monsters Manual, only 4 creatures have resistance to.
And how much of a vulnerability to it?
2, which doesn't sound like a lot, but there's very few vulnerabilities.
Yeah. Man. Divine Smite's really strong. Okay, they're just really strong. And here's what's irritating. I don't want to hate Paladins. I really like Paladins. I like the concept of the Oath. And the fact that you can really, like... Just by building a Paladin, there's just already so much flavor and character stuff there that you can use to create great stories, great character development, all that kind of stuff. I really care about that stuff. I love that. And I just think the oaths and morality and all that kind of stuff just make paladins really enticing and just make them really great characters. I like them. They're cool. They're like you wanna play a paladin because paladins are cool and they're like holy warrior dudes. But the fact that they're so broken, like, oh, and don't get me started if you choose Variant Human and then you choose a feat. Okay.
Or like Oath of the Ancients. Let's just not talk about Oath of the Ancients at all.
No, definitely in my campaign where the main villains were all magic users.
So like we had a paladin by us at all times. So we had Aura on us at all times, which gives like +5 to every single save, and also.
Yep, we have a reoccurring joke.
We also changed that. We like house ruled out like.
Yeah. Oh.
That ability.
Also, hey guys. Also, they get spiritual weapon.
Oh yeah, spiritual weapon's a great spell.
And
I'm not being facetious. It is a great spell.
It's really good.
It's too good. It's too great.
We literally have a recurring joke that makes us laugh and then we all weep when we actually think about the ramifications of saying, "What if we had a party of paladins?" Like that's a recurring joke that me and Gabe will reference that every so often, and in our playgroup as well. Okay. So just think. All paladins, okay. All have high armor class, all martial fighters. They all have Divine Smite. So everyone's just getting Divine Smited all the time everywhere. All of their auras. Guys, they all have auras going on. About 2 auras. One from their base class, one from their subclass. Going on at the same time. Affecting all the other paladins and themselves. And these all stack, by the way.
So, if they have like 20 in charisma, each of them.
Yeah.
Oh, then at 6th level, or whenever they do get that, to 20, they have +20 to each saving throw. +20! How do you fail?
Oh my gosh! But guys, saving throw. That's like players have to make saving throws a lot. Like that's an important. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Oh, and picture this. They all take the protection fighting style, and they all wield shields. So also everyone gets like a +1,000 to AC. Oh my gosh. And then they all wield pole arms and take the sentinel feat. And anyway, yeah, guys, paladins are insane, and a party of paladins would be unstoppable. I mean, not necessarily. Obviously, you're the DM. You can do whatever you want. You just build an encounter that destroys them, and all the enemies are flying or whatever. Wait a minute.
You took my segue. Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry.
I was like, they'd be unstoppable except for one thing.
Yep. What is it?
Flying.
Flight.
It's our next topic, but Shiloh messed up my segue.
I'm sorry. It actually didn't, like, I just said that, and then I was like, oh, that's a segue. Go ahead, Gabe. I'm sorry.
That's the segue.
Take the floor.
Flying. Flying is a very controversial thing. Not because people hate flying. Flying's dope. Everyone wants to be able to fly.
Yeah, literally.
But flying can break encounters. And here's why. You can fly out of range. You can attack. I am talking about this in a really boring way. But flying can break things.
I mean...
And it can, like, break the party as well.
Yeah.
We ran into this problem in our long campaign. Where not all of us could fly all the time.
Yeah.
And then we just eventually had to find ways for each one of our characters to fly.
Yeah.
Because we just come across things where, like, sometimes it'd be trivialized for some of us because we could just fly.
Yeah.
But then it just became impossible for the other characters. Because they couldn't fly.
I mean, Gabe who's playing a sorcerer, and this is not his fault. This is the game's design. And once he got high enough level, he got enough spell slots. Beginning of every combat, what's the first thing he did? Fly. Just fly up, out of reach of everybody, of all the enemies. He's you know, the squishiest. You know, higher level still has quite a lot of health, but he's the squishiest. He's the sorcerer. Just fly, and then just pelt everyone with disintegration from above. Right? I mean, that's like we're always flying all the time, and it's not Gabe's fault at all. I'm not gonna blame him, because why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he fly? It's so good. Yeah.
It can trivialize so many things for your character.
And
oh, there's a chasm. I just fly over it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'll get to that in a second.
Which isn't necessarily, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Except when it just like leads to disparity within the party.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to a point also where everyone in a party flew, and
yeah.
And here's also a big problem why flying is bad. As a DM, building adventures and encounters, you don't think about flight. That's just not something that crosses your mind. When you're building, like, how hard it is to overcome this obstacle, whether it's a battle or a puzzle or, like, whatever it is, a trap, flight is usually, like, you're never thinking of it. Even when you know some of your players can fly, you just won't be thinking about it when you're building encounters and adventures. It's not something that you think of. And then when it comes to that part in the adventure in the session, they're like, we can just fly over it. I mean, flight is just, it's a solution to so many problems and obstacles. And as a DM, you just don't think about that a lot. And even if you do remember, you're like, oh, now I have to change up the encounter and obstacle. I have to think of something new and different. I have to add in these, like, weird things that will block people from flying or whatever because it's going to ruin the encounter or the obstacle. Or I have to redesign this whole part of the adventure because you can just fly. Yeah. You just don't think of that. And so, you know, a couple times in the last campaign, Gabe's like, okay, I just fly. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Because...
oh, this island is being, like, turned over because it's actually a creature and it's, like, fighting and standing up, and so we're, like, all, like, falling, having to grab onto things. No, we aren't. We're just flying.
He's like, I'm just gonna fly and pick up this person, and the other party member will fly and then pick up this other party member, and then we're all good. And then one of them will suicide off the cliff. We're not gonna talk about that.
I was drinking water and
hope he doesn't listen to the podcast. That's a different story, guys. Yeah, flight. So by the way, if for some reason you allow your players to choose Aarakocra as their starting race, or
there's one of my favorite, like, what ifs is like how level 1 Aarakocra with, like, a longbow can kill a Taras single-handedly.
Yeah. Because flight is that good. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And, like, I get it. It's something that might accidentally overlook because, you know, it's something that, like, breaks the rules of gravity that we normally don't have to think of. But, it's just...
Okay. Here's the thing. You don't want to remove flight from your game entirely.
No.
But, like,
flight's great. It's
yeah.
interesting. It's cool.
Yeah, but, like, in limited tactical resource spending instances. So, for example, a potion of flight. That's fun. Your party's going to save that, use it when they need to. That's a fun, creative way that they're going to figure out in solving this solving this problem. At 5th level, yeah, your spellcaster gets access to fly as a 3rd level spell, but they only have one spell slot for the whole day. When are they going to use it? You know, that's an important tactical decision. And if they do, they can't use fireball or whatever, right? But, I mean, you know, once you got to, like, 10th level...
once you get up there more...
you're just flying all the time. So, it's hard. It is. It's hard to figure out and deal with, And I think I talked about this. In one of the past few episodes about how I built this really cool encounter. It was like it was inside like an inverted D4 pyramid, and the gravity was switched up, and so like you could walk on the different sides of the inside of this triangle pyramid thing. Really cool battlefield, right? Except this was at a very high level, and I forgot that everyone in the party could fly. So the point that the gravity was shifting didn't matter because the whole battle took place in the air anyway.
Also, another thing I want to tag on here about flying, I don't think we've touched on yet, but how it can really slow down combat because of AoE effects. And you have to figure out where exactly you are in 3D space. And if you don't have like special little towers you can place your flying characters on, it can be hard to figure out, where exactly am I in the space right now? And you have to remember that. You have to track that. It can make things difficult just because you have to try and deal with 3D space while using a 2D battle map.
Yeah. And also, as a player, very hard to... it's very frustrating when your enemies fly. As the DM, not too much of a problem if your players fly because you're the one building the encounters and everything. But as a player, it's pretty frustrating when your enemies can fly. There's no tactical like movement to block hallways or whatever because they can just fly over you. Your area effects things are not really going to work because they're just going to spread out and fly everywhere, and they're not going to be obstructed by trees. Or it's also just frustrating as a player. Also, by the way, and you don't really want to frustrate your players a lot. You want to frustrate them like in a good way in the sense that like how do we overcome this puzzle or whatever. But yeah, that's just not fun. Okay, one thing I just thought of real quick. I don't really think this is a fault of 5th edition totally. But something that this is also totally my bad as a DM. But enemies don't heal. And enemies should totally heal. Like, the reason I gave my big baddie quadruple Tarask health was because I didn't really have any ways for him to heal. I mean, I had a couple ways, but they didn't really come up often in the battle. And like, if you build your encounter with like kind of a boss, a couple minions, a sniper, or whatever, you kind of like have a couple different roles of your monsters in your battle. Like, have one be like a healer, and then like that makes it more tactical into the party of like taking out the healer first or whatever. Anyway, that's a side thing. I don't really think that's like I'm not really pissed about anything or whatever. I guess kind of just a tip, but I think it could be cool in your games, in your encounters and stuff, to have people who heal. I'm trying to fit that into our Star Wars campaign right now, with having more healing and stuff, because the players are healing all the time. So why can't you?
Picturing like a campaign poster, like, if your players can heal, why can't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anything else you want to rant about?
Nothing that we can cover in the time that we have left living.
Oh, we've been recording for a long time.
An hour and a half, yeah.
Yeah, didn't even realize that.
There are things that I do want to rant about that we didn't get to. I want to rant about the Mystic. I want to rant about a lot of like, how they've handled it and other Unearthed Arcana. I want to talk more about how classes are balanced amongst each other. I want to talk about some certain subclasses. I want to talk about weapons. I want to talk about some spells.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. There's a lot. Hey guys, look out for the part 2 sometime in the next 3 months. We're gonna do probably part 2, and of course, we've been teasing it for the past 30 episodes. It's gonna come eventually. The Mystic episode. The 10-hour...
Which probably most people don't even know about the Mystic.
The 10-hour Mystic extravaganza. Literally, probably maybe 3 people know what we're talking about. If you listen to the end of our episodes and stuff, we mention the Mystic a lot. We make a lot of jokes about it.
Yeah.
Don't look it up. Don't use it in your game. Anyway, it'll be real fun when we do our 13-hour Mystic rant.
Yeah.
The first 6 hours, by the way, we'll just be going through the 40-page PDF, and then the other... Anyway, yeah, there we go. We still have some more things to rant about. We're gonna rant about those later on sometime in the next few months, probably. We'll do another one of these.
So if you enjoyed this, look out for that.
I don't know who this was for. This is for us, by the way.
Yeah.
This was...
I'm sorry if this wasn't very applicable to you and we didn't answer the question that you want us to, but... It's just a therapeutic experience.
Yeah.
And I encourage you to do the same.
This this episode was just therapy for Gabe and I. To vent about the paladin, mostly the paladin, and encounter building. Oh man, it feels good. Hey, speaking of the paladin and other unbalanced things, we're doing a series, you may not know, we're doing a series called Class Rebuild, where we are going to, it's replacing our class Spotlight, which we finished last month. Every month we're going to go through the next class in alphabetical order, and we're going to completely rebuild, revise, retweak that class, make it more detailed, fix some of the issues with it, make it more balanced, stuff like that. The Barbarian episode is out. Go listen to it, last week's episode. You can find the class rebuild
PDF on our Discord.
Yep, exactly. To follow along.
Yeah. And look out for the one coming next month on the Bard.
Yeah.
Which, not entirely, we haven't figured out what we're going to exactly do. But we will, and you'll be along there for it.
We haven't really thought about anything what to do with that yet. I've had a couple ideas.
Except for Counter Charm.
And Song of Rest. So, yeah, look out for that. We got some other cool stuff. Maybe another actual play? Question mark. I know you guys would like that.
Maybe down the road.
Those episodes get a lot of listens, more than these ones. But so that's really cool. It means you guys are liking it, listening to it. By the way, the 5th session has more listens than the 4th session, which doesn't make sense to me. But there you go.
What? All right. Without further ado, that's the end of the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. Hey, Instagram at D20_Academy. Join our Discord. It's fun, great time. YouTube stuff is cool. Gabe, next week's episode.
Next week's episode. Is this a wrap-up episode for world building?
Maybe. It might be.
Maybe.
Well, it depends on how far we get.
We keep on extending the world building series. We keep on finding more things to talk about.
Yeah.
But potentially the last episode of our world building series. This one is going to be on magic. How do you design it? How does it affect your world? How do you incorporate it? Look out for that coming next week.
And guys, first of all, thank you so much for listening. Check out Class Rebuild. Check out Unwelcome Spirits. And to close, don't play Mystic.
Play Mystic.
Don't play Mystic.